My 5 predictions for Bills-Dolphins on Thursday night and an injury update with banged up Bills is all coming your way today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, folks, we're going to have one last conversation before the Bills host the Dolphins on Thursday night, and we're going to focus in on 2 things. My 5 predictions first, and then we'll talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills about the injury situation, and I'm eager to get his thoughts on Matt Milano, Taron Johnson, Ed Oliver, among others. But I do want to start with my 5 predictions for Thursday night. And I've got some things that I have prepared to discuss. And of course, with my predictions, I always try to tell a bit of a story, right? So I'm not just trying to predict obvious things that might happen, but I want to lean into my beliefs about the game script and critical players and try to give you something to cling to in terms of what that means in the form of a prediction. So let's dive into it. The first prediction I have, I think Josh Palmer scores his first touchdown as a member of the Buffalo Bills. Talk this week about how much I am enjoying what he can bring to this offense. And I feel like it's really close to taking off in a big way. You see Josh Palmer out there running good routes, getting open, creating a lot of vertical separation. And you see Josh Allen with an appetite to get him the ball. And I think they're very close. Josh had his eyes on him a couple of times for touchdown opportunities against the Jets. I think they get one against the Dolphins on Thursday night. So put me down for Josh Palmer's first touchdown as a member of the Bills. Number 2, we'll do another first. I have one of TJ Sanders or Deion Walker collecting their first NFL sack. Obviously, these guys are going to get a lot of playing time. They have, right, of course, with Ed Oliver being out. But I think this is a really ripe opportunity. You have a very suspect guard situation for the Dolphins. Their left guard, Jonah Savianaya, he's a rookie. He has really struggled at left guard. Their right guard is Keon Smith. This guy's been in the league since 2020. I think he's played about 100 snaps in the NFL. He's been trained to play tackle. He's playing guard. It's a ripe opportunity. Obviously, Walker and Sanders have to continue to prove who they're going to be in the NFL. But it's those guards, and then it's also Tua. Tua is not negotiating pressure well at all. 53. That's 53% of pressure is resulting in a sack. That's absurd. He's also holding onto the ball a little bit longer than he normally does. He's not throwing to his first read quite as often as he usually does. This is ripe. So put me down for one of TJ Sanders or Deion Walker recording their first NFL sack. Number 3, put me down for 50 or more receiving yards for Khalil Shakir. I know I whiffed on my Shakir prediction last week against the Jets, but you know, he is the guy, right? He's kind of the player you thought would be the number 1 most targeted player in this offense, or at least I did. And it's been somewhat slow. He's got 7 catches through 2 games. And I love the catch he had against the Jets. Only 1 catch, but you saw him catch the ball and go. The yards after catch ability is obviously there. This matchup against Miami should be very favorable for Khalil Shakir. Their slot player is a rookie 5th-round pick out of Florida, Jason Marshall. Didn't even play in the slot at Florida. So this is new for him. The Dolphins are in a good amount of base defense. So if they're in base or they're in nickel, you should have some nice chances to get the ball to Khalil Shakir. Put me down for 50 or more receiving yards for Shakir in this game. Number 4, I think the Bills record their first interception of the season. They have 2 takeaways, both fumble recoveries. I think the Bills get an interception in this game. Obviously, Tua will throw interceptions. His turnover-worthy throw rate this year so far is a crazy 7.3%. That's nuts. And I don't think it gets turned around on Thursday night. Tua's had good games against Buffalo. His last game against Buffalo was really good. 25 of 28 for like 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. Passer rating of 124. The Bills needed that 60-whatever yard field goal from Tyler Bass to win the game. I mean, Tua's capable. But I think this offense is just in disarray. I think they've tried to add some layers to it. There's less play action. There's less screens than normal. I think they're trying to play this a little bit differently and add to what they've been able to do in recent years. And I think it's a process. And so I think the Bills get an interception Thursday night against Tua. So Josh Palmer's first touchdown as a Bill. One of the rookie defensive tackles gets their first NFL sack. 50 or more receiving yards for Khalil Shakir. And the Bills defense records their first interception of the season. Lastly, I do think the Bills win this game. They should. I mean, you're double-digit home favorites on a short week against a team that you beat the last 6, 13 of 14, 15 to 17. I mean, it's been quite the domination by the Bills. This wouldn't be the one you would think would get away from you, right? And I think a lot about this talking point that I've had several times this week about where this Dolphins defense is, how many snaps they've played, and you compare that to the Bills, right? They played almost 140 snaps of defense. They have 6 players that have played 99 or more snaps. The Bills have only played 98 snaps total defensively. Zach Sealer, one of their best defensive players, he's played almost 100 snaps already this year in 2 games. They were in a dogfight to the end with the Patriots last week. The Bills were resting their starters in the 4th quarter. It's a short week in Buffalo. Miami's the team that has to travel and get up there and play this game. I have high expectations for the Bills to take care of their business in this football game and then enjoy their mini bye, go play the Saints next week. Remember, this is one of 3 games in a row at home. 4 of the first 5 for the Bills at home. Take care of your business. Get that 3rd win of the season before any other team plays their 3rd game. All right, coming up next, Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills will get caught up on all the injury stuff in just a moment. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And I love this. All-wheel drive is standard on every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade, 5-hour energy shots that deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most about 5-hour energy is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I've been eyeing the new limited time cranberry lime flavor. It sounds like the perfect one to try next. Honestly, I just love how fast it kicks in, and it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. Energy is what you need, and enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and it's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. I love checking projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 passing yards, or Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing touchdown. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I'm joined now by Kyle Trimble. He's a doctor of physical therapy. He runs bangedupbills.com. You can follow him on social media at bangedupbills. He joins us each week to get ready for the upcoming Bills game from an injury perspective, and we have a few things to dive into. And I want to start with Matt Milano, who got injured against the Jets, didn't finish the game. Sean McDermott's been all kinds of weird, I guess, with how he's handled questions about Milano's injury. We know it's a pectoral injury. Curious what you are thinking on this situation.
This was definitely an interesting one, how it all developed, because we knew that he was not playing in the second half and he was on the sideline with his helmet, which is usually a good sign. And with the score at the time, it was like, okay, maybe they're just resting starters, which is fine. After the game, Joe Buscaglia of The Athletic noted that Milano had a brace on his arm. And that was new information since you don't really get a lot of sideline views during the broadcast. So I reached out to him. He said he could not recall. I was able to find in the broadcast when they do a panoramic view of the stadium that they caught a shot at Milano with a brace on his right arm, right shoulder to be specific. So that at least tells us that was a right shoulder injury. Previously, when we saw he went down, it looked like a hamstring. I thought that is just the way he it almost looked like he got shot there. Yeah. So now we're looking for right shoulder. And on that same play, he falls down. He lands hard more toward the right side of his body with his arms outstretched. Then I'm starting thinking, is this a rotator cuff strain? Did he somehow maybe suffer a slight labral tear? That's why they needed the brace on the area to give us some support there. They never gave an in-game designation, though, which was, I guess, sort of a good sign that he could have returned, but they just held him out as precaution. And then they came out on Monday saying that he had a pectoral injury and not a hamstring or just a generalized shoulder, which gives us more specifics. We do know that he suffered a pectoral strain in 2020, causing him to initially miss 2 games and then returned for 2 games and then went on IR for 3 games because that's when the COVID rules were in effect. Keep in mind, this was his left shoulder and left pectoral, and this is the right one. How he fell typically isn't the normal presentation. I mean, it can, because think about the bench press motion you would do, but usually we see more of an arm outstretched outside. That's how he injured it the first time in 2020. That's how we saw Daquan Jones injure his pectoral, where he needs surgery. And that's what we saw with Terrell Bernard last year when they were playing against Miami, how he was kind of reaching outward and it tore, or at least strained, partially tore. So I suspect the way McDermott was phrasing things that, he could practice on Wednesday and he ultimately did not, and that they don't know if it's long-term or they need more information. I suspect there might be more damage in there than they're letting on, and they're just keeping pectoral because that is the part that's injured, but there could be other stuff injured in the shoulder that they're just waiting to see maybe how he responds to rehab. I don't anticipate this being injured reserve discussion, but I mean, they've done weird things where they put guys on just because they need the time there with that. So we need a little more information. It doesn't surprise me he's going to miss Thursday. I would not expect him to play in week 4 against the New Orleans Saints. And when he does come back, he might have some trouble wrapping the guys up, but we just need to see how he returns to progression in practice to get a better idea of how long the timeline's going to be. But 2 or 3 games wouldn't be uncommon for an injury, regardless if there's any additional damage in there.
I keep saying this, but the Bills are getting pretty used to playing defense without Matt Milano, and here we are again. So Dorian Williams, you're up. Let's talk Ed Oliver. Don't have anything new here other than we know he missed Sunday. He's ruled out for this game Thursday night, and on Tuesday he was again spotted with the boot. Does anything about this information give you any additional clarity about what you think this situation is?
That this injury is lingering a little bit more than I'd like. I mean, there's always a chance for soft tissue injuries that, need a little time to get weight off the area, protect it from a swelling standpoint, and just let things kind of calm down. The fact it's been a week from this point that he's still in a boot that says that, hey, there might be more significance to the injury. I thought the way that they described it, he was stepped on in practice. The fact that it's an ankle still leads me to believe there might be some type of high ankle component to this. It's if he gets stepped on the outside of the ankle as he's trying to pivot and things like that, and that could lead to the mechanism where the foot is dorsiflexed and everted. You're in a scrum with moving guys around on the line there, and it's easy to step on the ankle as you're trying to regain your footing, and that causes the high ankle. So we see it more often when guys get rolled up on, but still other ways can happen there. So it's been a week, and we're talking on Wednesday here, so I wouldn't be surprised if he misses another game at this point, because he hasn't even returned to practice even in limited fashion there. So keep in mind, last time he suffered a high ankle sprain, it was to the other side, and he missed 3 games, and this was in 2022 against the Rams. He said he was okay, and then he missed 3 games and was lingering for a while after that.
Speaking of players who say they're okay, Taron Johnson, he's been limited all week with a quad injury, and of course we know he missed last week against the Jets. He's listed as questionable for Thursday night. Same with Cam Lewis, who would be his primary backup, a shoulder injury. He's been limited all week. We know that happened during the Jets game, listed as questionable. What are your thoughts on the availability for these guys? Hopefully you tell us Taron can go.
I thought that last week, and he went through a pretty vigorous workout, pregame workout, according to Matt Milano, and he decided something wasn't right. He didn't specifically say what was going on, but he said that, let's just shut it down and save it for another day. I anticipate he's going to play, just because it sounded like he was pretty close, and then they just said, let's shut it down for whatever reason. I tend to want to believe people at their word. I mean, that's all we have for them. And he's been pretty straightforward with us throughout his career. As for Cam Lewis, he did leave the game with about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter with what looked like to be a right ankle injury, because it looked like he got kicked by Tyrod Taylor when they were colliding. But he did have a shoulder brace on his right shoulder prior to the game, and this dates back almost a month to like the first week of August in training camp. I don't know if it was the same injury, because there was a few plays prior to when he left that he landed on his left shoulder. Didn't get a great look either way, because he was wearing sleeves during practice this week, but he had a red non-contact jersey on. It just might come down to how he's feeling on the short week. If he doesn't go, we do have Jordan Hancock, who needs to get in there, and he's been inactive the first 2 games. So I hope that Johnson does go. It wouldn't surprise me if Lewis does sit and then get Hancock his first NFL reps.
All right, let's hope that Taron Johnson at least can go and play. One other player here is Shaq Thompson, hamstring/hand, limited participant all week in practice, questionable for his game day designation. We know that he wasn't able to go against the Jets on Sunday. Now, the reason that this one probably is more important than maybe people think is the Bills have been playing 3 linebackers a decent amount this season. And with Milano down, Thompson would be the player that would go on the field along with Bernard and Williams. And we saw some practice footage this week with the Bills linebackers on the field, and it was those players. So you saw Thompson getting reps with Williams and Bernard. But if he can't go, then he's obviously not going to be the 3rd linebacker. What's your thoughts on Thompson's availability?
He's a little more beat up than I thought last week. When I was talking last week, we didn't know quite when he suffered a hamstring. We knew that hamstring was from training camp when he suffered against the Blue and Red back on August 1st. And then the hand, I didn't think that was going to be a big issue, because you can put a club on it and play. We saw him in practice today in the 3-set with linebackers. And he has the tape all up and down the right hamstring. And that's the same one he injured back in early August. He also has tape and looks like a splint on the 4th and 5th digits of his right hand as well there too. Looking back through that week 1, when he played on special teams exclusively, on the last special teams play, it looked like he made some type of collision with the ball carrier. I think it was Ali from the Ravens. And I don't know if he tried punching it out or he did something, but he was kind of like holding his hand a little bit at the end. So I don't know if he jammed it, if he broke the fingers, if he did something with it, but obviously he needs some protection in there. I would hope he can play, because he missed last week with the hamstring, and then they can club up the hand once again. So, I sound like a broken record in some respects. We're saying the same thing again from last week, but they look at these things and, hey, if we can go with the starters and then get some of the other backups in, but I could see them easily bringing up a linebacker from the practice squad, same with defensive tackle, just to get through this game. And then they have the mini bye to get through the, at least until week 4.
The Spider-Man meme, it's really just Shaq Thompson and Matt Milano as north of 30 linebackers that have been injured the last 2 seasons that are once again injured. So hopefully these guys can get it together, but I'm worried about those guys just kind of being broken down at this point. Obviously there's a path for them to help this football team, but they got to be able to do that. So Fingers crossed the Bills do get the mini bye after Thursday Night Football, the Saints in Week 4. So we will talk to you next ahead of that game. Dr. Kyle Trimble, thanks for coming on and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, Joe, and go Bills.
All right, folks, don't miss Bills Squad live right after the Bills and Dolphins conclude on Thursday night. Myself, Jeremy White, Jerry Ostrowski, we're going to give you that instant reaction. So come be part of it live on the Locked On Bills YouTube channel. And then we've got more content coming this week. The Bills are playing Thursday, so we're going to spend Friday in the All-22 film. And so if you're part of our Substack community or our Subtext community, you're getting the All-22 film clips right to you on Friday. And then we'll do a podcast later in the day so you can get all of my analysis on what the film reveals about Bills and Dolphins. If you'd like to be part of our Substack or our Subtext, or you want to know what that's about, go to thejoemarino.com. There's a link in today's show notes, or just go to thejoemarino.com. See all the things we have going on. We've got a merch shop. We've got a Discord channel, Substack, Subtext, all kinds of stuff that you can learn about on the website. And with that, the hay is in the barn. Folks, we've done all we can. We got ready for this game. We did all the content in a short amount of time to get you ready for Bills and Dolphins. And the only thing that's left to do is for the Bills to go out there, win the game, get to 3-0, get to this mini bye, and get ready for the Saints in Week 4. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks for being here. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.